Dear Starseeds, we bring heartfelt greetings from the High Council and the Earth Council. I am Iskan, representing the High Council of the Pleiades. At this time, a tense situation is unfolding across the planet, and as you might have guessed, the focal point where the forces of both polarities converge is none other than the land of the Aryans and the Rus. The peaceful inhabitants are gripped by fear and confusion, unable to comprehend the events that are unfolding. Surprisingly, even the military forces find themselves disoriented. Many questions arise. Who is behind all of this? What are the underlying causes of this sudden conflict? And what might follow in its wake? A third force is at work on Earth. It pits people against each other like foolish goats on a bridge. Open your eyes and ears. On both sides, there are people. But someone is manipulating them. Understand this. Evil begins with deception. It is sustained by deception. It attacks and defends itself using deception. I tell you, a third force is operating on the planet through deception. But let's start from the beginning. It's essential to realize that events and phenomena rarely have a single, obvious cause. Behind every visible cause, there are deeper ones, which in turn are followed by even more profound truths. So, I propose we begin with a broad overview and gradually move toward the specifics. Let's start with the fundamentals of the universe's development, which progresses in cycles. The universe follows an evolutionary path, advancing from the primordial chaos after the Big Bang towards a state of perfection, supreme harmony, order, and wholeness, where matter and spirit unite in perfect oneness. To illustrate this, I will share a story recorded in the Akashic Chronicles. Many millions of years ago, there was another planet in your solar system, inhabited by intelligent beings. Today's scientists can only hypothesize about its existence, based on the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. This planet was destroyed as a result of a massive military conflict involving both the local inhabitants and extraterrestrial beings from other worlds. Visitors from another civilization were drawn to the planet by its abundant natural resources and the rapidly developing spiritual and creative potential of its inhabitants, something the aliens themselves could not fully grasp or cultivate. It's worth noting that, for a long time, these extraterrestrials presented themselves as benevolent and friendly allies, gradually introducing new values into the local culture. These innovations subtly undermined the foundations of the native education system, science, and art, replacing them with trendy but hollow substitutes, masquerading as superior quality. Does this sound familiar to anything happening in your world today? As unrest and dissatisfaction began to rise on the planet, the aliens retreated into the shadows, continuing to manipulate events from behind the scenes. The conflict escalated, turning into a prolonged civil war, where no one remembered the original causes anymore. All that remained was hatred towards former brethren and a desire to destroy the enemy in the name of independence and freedom. At the opportune moment, one side received allies, in the form of those same extraterrestrials, who started supplying them with forces and weapons, while simultaneously demanding that the other side uphold the violated rights and freedoms of the citizens suffering under their oppression. But then, on one ominous day, an underground nuclear reactor exploded. The planet shattered into pieces, and it no longer mattered who was to blame, as there was no one left to answer or ask. This event echoed throughout the solar system and beyond, sowing the seeds of future wars and conflicts in civilizations that would have to restore the lost balance and reunite the fragments of torn souls to regain their wholeness. My friends, whether you realize it or not, your genetic memory holds the records of your cosmic, galactic, and earthly heritage, both light and dark. And war is far from being a minor part of this memory. Moreover, within you are the genes of all the sides that have ever been in conflict. The present time in which you live is unique because it marks the synchronization and alignment of cycles on planetary, galactic, and cosmic levels. This means that you have a rare opportunity to transform not only your planetary karma but also your galactic and possibly even cosmic karma through your awakened consciousness. This requires conscious and intentional actions and choices. The greatest hope and responsibility for the future rest with those who have already awakened. Take a close look at the conflict unfolding before your eyes, and you will realize that this is not just a local confrontation but a pivotal moment in the transition. The transition is not yet complete, and it is too early to celebrate its conclusion. The natural cataclysms that accompany the changing of eras can still be restrained and neutralized through the collective efforts of all the light bearers of the world. However, when it comes to relationships between people, you must understand that the subtle plane has its limitations in interacting with the dense world. All we can do is assist through you, the light bearers, but we cannot intervene directly in earthly events and human affairs. The current events in the land of the Aryans are far from random. I urge you to pay special attention to them. Just as it is impossible to predict the exact course of events once the critical point of the transition is reached, so too, at this moment, even we can only glimpse potential outcomes in the realm of possibilities. We had hoped that this conflict could be extinguished at its outset, thanks to the high number of awakened individuals. However, the forces of friction continue to exert their influence. Those whose time on this planet has come to an end due to the rising vibrations are doing everything in their power to linger as long as possible. They are using the old energies of fear and hostility to artificially lower the planet's vibrations through those people they can still influence. Those who still harbor enough of these energies for manipulation. These are mostly people who are still deeply asleep, unaware of who or what controls them. However, even those who have awakened but have not transformed their low vibration energies and qualities can still be susceptible to their influence. Moreover, they exploit the partially untransformed genetic memory and ancient legacy of wars. I want to remind you of an ancient great battle, remarkable in several ways. First, it occurred at the junction of two ages, when the Bronze Age transitioned into the Iron Age, Kali Yuga, the Age of Darkness. In the ancient Indian epic, this battle is known as the Mahabharata. Second, it took place in the land of the Aryans, who had not yet migrated to India but inhabited vast areas of Eurasia. And finally, it is significant that the battle was not fought between different tribes, but between relatives. This battle led to the division of the once unified Slavic Aryan people and marked the beginning of the fall of human consciousness into darkness and forgetfulness. After that, bloodshed and brutality continued throughout the ensuing age. In the mid-20th century, another great battle took place, marking the climax and the agony of the Kali Yuga. In this war, humanity endured unimaginable horrors, and nearly every soul was caught up in the great wheel of law. The irony of fate lay in the fact that the Nazi leader made it his ultimate goal to purify the Aryan race by eliminating those he deemed non-Aryan, including the Slavs. Many referred to this war as Armageddon. Yet, the world endured. Humanity paid an unimaginable price for victory. A victory intended to end all future wars on Earth and usher in an era of peace and love. This war was supposed to be the last, leading to humanity's awakening, to the realization of the futility of wars and a complete renunciation of them. It saddens us, the forces of light, to acknowledge that human memory is weaker than genetic memory. The vows made by your ancestors are forgotten far too quickly. Your children are once again playing at war, and now, along with plastic guns and pistols, they are drawn into virtual games that captivate their minds, cultivating aggression, cold-blooded cruelty, and indifference. And let's not even mention the violent cartoons and films that you and your children consume. Beloved ones, I am addressing each of you who reads these words, regardless of your nationality or social status. Whether you are a soldier, a worker, an accountant, a doctor, or even a president. Answer me honestly. Aren't you tired of playing at war? Haven't you had enough? If you still crave conflict, then the forces of light will be unable to prevent another large-scale war between once united peoples. And I am not speaking only of the peoples of Russia and Ukraine. This concerns the peoples of Europe, and even Americans, descendants of the one great race. If you continue to follow those who encourage your degradation and the degradation of your children, if you continue to feed the foreigners, by this, I mean all those who control global processes from the shadows, with your energy and lives. If you keep falling for their provocations, protesting, and expressing outrage against their actions, yet maintain a lifestyle that corrupts your consciousness, then know this: you are still being used by those who benefit from it. No matter how much you speak of truth and fight for it, you will remain mere puppets in the hands of those who hide in the shadows, for they are nothing more than shadows. So, what should you do? How should you respond to what is happening? Like tightrope walkers, treading carefully over a chasm. This conflict is the death throes of a dying darkness, and a mortally wounded beast is particularly dangerous. Only your purity, each of you, and a consistent release from all forms of internal and external darkness that still holds power over you can help bring peace to the conflict. How can you anger a person who has no anger within? Likewise, it is impossible to ignite a war where there are no warriors. Conflict cannot arise where there is self-sufficiency, wholeness, and inner independence. It is painful to witness brothers killing brothers. But you do not see the most crucial aspect, as the visible is merely the tip of a massive iceberg. Yet I assure you, each of you, when united in light, has the power not only to stop a war without engaging in it but also to end the conflict by transforming the very processes that caused it. Shadows vanish at noon. Therefore, see this conflict as your primary lesson and test of resilience and devotion to the light. It is a test for each of you before yourself, before God and your soul, and before your conscience. And this is no exaggeration, my friends. as the planet's vibrations steadily rise, and your increased awareness and responsibility are not whims of the forces of light but necessities dictated by the times. The first thing you need to understand is to avoid condemning either side. Second, you can express a conscious and clear intention before God and your higher self to end all wars and conflicts in your life and the lives of your descendants, as well as to transform the warlike genome and deep genetic memory of all wars and conflicts within you and your descendants. Now, of course, you may be waiting for specific recommendations on what can be done right now, when it's hard to watch the events and stay on the sidelines. Here, I tell you, what is required of each is only what they can do. Can you right now or shortly remove all toys from your children that promote aggression, and delete from computers and phones films and games that contain violence? Can you stop buying products that are known to harm your health, such as sugary drinks, chips, hamburgers, and products with artificial additives, and gradually shift to simpler, more natural foods? Can you consciously support making it economically unviable to import foreign products and goods, thereby forcing the government to invest in the development of domestic production? What can conscious leaders and heads of state, who are aware of the shadow's influence, do? What can you, awakened young entrepreneurs, magnates, and major capital holders, do? You understand the power of money better than anyone. You also face temptations of wealth, power, and fame. If you feel powerless to act, does this not mean you have become slaves to those very same wealth, power, and fame? But slavery of any kind and level is merely an illusion of limited consciousness. Realizing this, I am confident you will find the right path. As the Russian proverb says, a hat fits only the head that it belongs to, and the forces of light place great hopes on you, but the responsibility for what happens also rests with you accordingly. What more can you, dear inhabitants of planet Earth, do consciously, as tightrope walkers walking high above the chasm, for your bright future and the future of your children? I am sure you know, your soul and heart know, what else can and should be done. After all, you know that you can change everything if you wish, but whether these changes will lead to chaos or creation depends on the level of your patience, spiritual strength, wisdom, love, and harmony in the actions of your heart, mind, and deeds. Reflect on what has been said, remain in the light, act in the light, and let there be light.